Hi everyone, my name is Steph Atias. I'm a second year MILR and we're joined here with two other people in the MILR program. And we're going to talk to you today a little bit about our experiences, how we decided to come to the MILR program, and what our journey's been like so far. I hope you enjoy. Alrighty, to kick this off, do you guys want to go ahead and introduce yourselves?
Sure. I can go first. My name is Simon Kim. I was originally born in Atlanta, Georgia, but grew up in Korea, so I'm actually an international student. So I think I can provide an international student aspect of MILR. I did my undergrad in Seongkyunga University, which is in Korea. I majored in sociology and actually went to a law school. So I'm a little bit different from a lot of the milers from here, but I also think that I can bring a different perspective and tell you guys how I got into the miler. After going to the law school, I actually dropped out after first year, did my own business, and finally came to Miler as an HR major.
All right, my name is Janie Bang. I went to the University of Illinois Urbana-Champaign for my undergrad. So I'm what we call a straight through. So I don't have any full-time experience. I came straight to the master's program for my undergrad. I did have 2 to 3 HR internships under my belt before going in, but yeah.
Alrighty, and I'll tell you a little bit more about myself. I'm from Millburn, New Jersey. I went to Elon University for my undergrad, where I majored in finance and political science. Before coming here, I worked for about a year at a small nonprofit, and I've been here since. So why don't we jump in a little bit and talk a little bit about the application process? Why did you decide to come here?
Do you want to go first?
Yeah, sure. For me, I think, having a master's in an HR career field really sets you apart. So, I looked at some of the alumni that have been to the MILR program in the past, and they're all in well-established Fortune 500 companies. And I wanted to follow that career path and, create my journey for HR. And I knew that having the MILR degree would really set me apart.
I'll go second. I totally agree with Janie, and I think that is one of the biggest strengths that our program has. But another strong point that attracted me to Miler and eventually made me decide to go to Miler was that we had a different track for labor students, HR students, where we can both hear the perspective of both labor and HR. So I'm doing my concentration in HR, but still take classes like labor relations and labor law. So unlike going to business school where we only learn about the business aspect of HR, we're able to hear about the perspective of labor and also hear spend time with students who have strong interest in these labor unions or labor issues. So this was one of the things that attracted me to Mahler.
I know I decided to go to the MILR program because I wanted to learn more about HR. I didn't really have any of those foundations for my background and knew by coming here I could both kickstart my career and learn a lot more about the foundations from school. And I've definitely been able to get that. So why don't we talk a little bit about going through the process? Did you have any concerns, challenges, worries? What was your mindset like?
So the biggest concern for me would have been not having an HR background. Unlike Steph, I had no experience in HR. I went to law school having a sociology undergrad background, and I was afraid that I would not be professional enough to come into the program. But after coming to the program, what I realized is that milers are not just for HR people. Myler highly values people's diverse experience and what they can bring to the program. So that was my worries while applying for Myler.
Yeah, I'd say, Steph might relate on this, but, not having any work experience going into the program, I was worried, would I fit in? Is this the right program for me? Am I going to have, the right career opportunities? But I remember when I did my first call with Derry, she told me a third of the students that actually go into the Myler program actually are straight throughs, so those without full-time experience, and I know that gave me a lot of assurance. And I know also a third of students are international, and the other third are those folks with more experience. So it's really a diverse program, and I think there's a space and spot for everyone here.
Absolutely, I would definitely agree. So as you were going through the process, do you have any advice to give someone who would be starting out their journey, reflecting back?
Yeah, for I'd say you really gotta leverage or use our technology to your advantage. So, with LinkedIn, what I did was reach out to alumni that have already graduated in the program or already are in the program. And they gave me a lot of insight, in terms of what kind of companies recruit here, how are the classes like. So I would, search on LinkedIn current students or past students at the ILR school and see if the program is right for you.
I would agree with Janie on this point. Use a lot of the resources that are already provided by Cornell. In addition to the great alumni that will help you out with SOPs and tell you about how life at MILR is, I highly recommend contacting the grad office during the process of application. I know that a lot of people, especially international students, are very hesitant to contact grad office for help regarding application because they might be judgmental about it or they might be too negative about it. However, most of the best helps that I got were not from my friends or my undergrad professors, but actually the staffs that were at the grad office at Cornell. They were very helpful looking at my resume. They even looked through my SOP for advices, and I think that was the key that I was able to get into Cornell.
Yeah, I would definitely second that. By going ahead and doing the pre-assessment online, it made it really easy. Then I got a call with Derry, and she was wonderful. She made me feel a lot more confident going through the process, knowing that this was something I'd be able to handle.
Yeah.
And yeah, she's a great resource that I would definitely recommend reaching out to.
She really is. And I also wanted to add, we also have like a Cornell ILR YouTube channel that I know had a lot of information, videos like this from the past years. Also, we have social media accounts that details, some of the extracurricular activities that we offer. And, the website, the ILR website also has a lot of information about the program. So just really dig into the program because all the information is really out there.
So going off of that, why don't we talk a little bit more about what made you actually decide to come here, what your journey was like after you got in?
So what made me come here?
Yeah, what solidified your decision?
Yeah, so I went to Illinois, which also has a very focused, really great established HR program. But when I was comparing the two, I noticed that the caliber of companies that come here are different. The networking events we have something called CARS. I forget what it exactly stands for. Yes.
Yeah,
that.
yeah.
And we have all sorts of CHROs, chief executive human resource officers come into our school and give these talks about how you can excel in your career, and those resources are so helpful. And I don't think those programs like CARS is available at other schools. So in terms of HR focused master's program, I think Cornell has absolutely all the resources compared to the other ones.
I think I have a thing to add on to Janie's point. I want to point out the history and experience that ILR school has. So I can't say which school I got accepted to, but I had several schools that had very good programs. But what I noticed is that ILR has the longest history and most experience specifically just on this ILR field. So based on these experiences, there are tons of alumni that are currently at the top of the positions in the top of the companies. And also, the program itself has a very structured system and program that people just need to follow in order to get to the point that they want to. So I think that was the biggest point that I decided MILR program over other schools.
I would definitely second that. Just knowing Cornell's reputation and the reputation of the ILR school, I knew this was the perfect fit for me. So something that tends to be on the mind of students once they've gotten accepted is housing. So why don't we talk a little bit about how you figured out your housing?
So regarding housing at Cornell, I would definitely advise contacting current MILR students for information because I did not do that. I was the person who just jumped into Zillow and tried to find the right housing for me. But at Cornell, although as any campus town would be, the rent is high, but there are also very good alternative options for people to live in. A great example that I can give where Steph is currently living right now is Maplewood. So although it is very recently built, has the has all the furnitures needed and everything, but it is actually very cheap and is provided only for the graduate students, right?
Yep, so I live in a community of all other graduate students. I got this advice from a second year in the program that really recommended Maplewood. That's where a lot of us live. It's really nice. It comes fully furnished. So yeah, I'd highly recommend it.
Yeah. So I would recommend contacting people who are already living here because there are a lot of options that is related to Cornell. So Cornell is making their best effort to provide cheap housing for students. So finding out about those kind of stuffs and living in those housings would be the best option that I can think of.
Yeah, you live at Fairview, right?
Yes.
Yeah, so I think it would be most helpful to say, there are a few apartments that a lot of grad students concentrate at. So some of the names I would look at is Maplewood, Fairview, Hasbrook is another big one for students with families. So
there's also CTT, which stands for
Yeah,
College
CTT,
Town
yeah.
Terrace, and
Yeah.
then City Center, which is downtown in Ithaca. But
Yeah,
Jeannie,
so-
why don't you talk about where you live?
Yeah, so I actually lived in CTT, College Town Terrace, my first year. And it is also a fully furnished apartment right on College Town, so it's convenient, close to campus, all the restaurants. But yeah, if you really just search up, popular apartment complexes on Google, or Facebook groups. Oh, that's another one. There's a Cornell Facebook group for housing. And that has a lot of good information. But I'd say a lot of at least students in our program are concentrated in a lot of these locations. And it's really convenient because, when you're working on group projects, you can meet there, So I would look into those.
Absolutely. So I know once I got my housing sorted out, my next question was, what's my first semester going to look like here? So why don't we dive into that a little bit? Why don't we start with how the classes work during our first semester?
I think I can comment on that. So, as I said before, based on the long experience and history that ILR program has, what I really liked about the first semester is most of the classes are actually selected beforehand, and there are a few classes that we are required to take, and these classes are concentrated on the first semester. And I know that some people might be like, oh, I want to choose my own classes, like we're not high school students. But looking back, I think it was a really good decision because first we were able to meet our friends. So this was like a time where our cohorts got together. After the class is finished, we would always go to lunch together. We would have coffee together. We would hang out after 5 p.m. when the final class is over. So I think it was a good source for people to get to know each other and also get closer to each other. The second thing that I really liked about is the required classes are actually really basic but fundamental classes that we will be needing to take any other classes at MILR. So it is classes such as management, related to financial or stat, and these classes become the fundamentals that will help us take the intensive classes that we have to take in the second grade. So regarding the second year, sorry. Regarding the first semester, the part that I really liked was the required classes.
Yeah, to summarize what you said, I think I remember there was 4 courses that you're automatically enrolled in. I was not happy about that, if I'm being honest, but after taking those courses, I realized it really are the fundamental courses, and yeah, like you said, it really helped bond the cohort together because you guys are all taking the same classes. And yeah, you obviously have the option to add another course, 5th or 6th course if you want. But yeah. Oh, and then I want to talk about the bundle. So with those core classes, you do a bundle project, which is working with a sponsored company that Cornell. So every year, actually, you talk about the bundle stuff.
Okay, cool. I'll tell you a little bit more about the bundles.
Yeah, I can't do the bundle.
So the bundle is a project where you're partnered with people. These are the same people in your 4 classes that you're going to be taking. And you work in a small group, I think normally about 5 students, and you get paired with a company. It's the same company for everyone. Different companies come in each year, and they ask a question that they want you to solve. So they tend to be big, open-ended questions. And from your coursework and the different courses you've taken during your first semester, you're able to go ahead and actually present to these companies what you think the solution would be. It's pretty exciting. There's a winner, someone wins, they get their names on the trophy.
Yeah.
It's pretty exciting.
Yeah.
Yeah, and sorry.
No, you go ahead, Simon.
And just to add on to what Steph was telling us, I think the biggest excitement about Bundle Project is, as Janie said, with working with actual companies. So last year we had the opportunity to work with BMS.
Which
Bristol
stands
Myers
for,
Squibb.
yep.
And all
And this year is
And-
Estee Lauder.
yeah, so it's like
beauty
the
company.
big Fortune 500
Yeah.
companies that are coming, and the actual employees of those companies come to our school to talk about these projects, and also are the judges who decide who gets the final first prize as the Bundle Project winner. So I think it was like a practice run for our summer internship where we get to work in a real company, and I think it was really a huge excitement for us as a first year.
Absolutely. So now that you've mentioned
Yeah.
summer internships, why don't we jump into talking a little bit about what recruiting season was like? So I'll kick us off and then pass off to you two. So I would say one of the things about this program is you get here, you get put in your classes, and you start off with recruiting right away. So why don't you tell me a little bit about your recruiting journeys?
I would have to say that the recruiting journey for me was both exciting but at the same time frustrating. But at the end, it was all paid off because I eventually got to intern at Dell. To talk about the journey itself, it's so exciting at the beginning because there are companies coming to our campus, doing info sessions, telling about their company, encouraging us to apply. And some of these companies are the companies that we actually just saw on newses or like our everyday lives. Like Amazon comes to recruit, Dell comes to recruit, and seeing these people in person and getting these opportunities were so exciting. But I'll have to be honest. The recruiting process does have some frustrating or hard moments, but I personally think this was also a big important experience for me. As I said earlier, I don't have any professional experience except for having my own company. So I was never in a position where I have to go through a series of interviews or meet recruiters in person. But during the recruiting season, we were able to meet these people in person, and we are actually interviewing like 10, 12 companies in just 2 weeks. So I think this is a valuable experience that you can never get in anywhere or even any part of your life. So in the end, everybody gets an internship, so I can guarantee you that. I was very thoughtful about that because probably Janie was worried about it as well because
Oh, yeah.
he's a straight through. Me, I have a different experience as an international student, but eventually I was able to find a perfect company that I really enjoyed. And yeah, Janie, do you have anything to add?
Let me talk about the journey real quick. So, companies will come recruit on campus. So, because we've kind of changed into this virtual atmosphere. So some of them will physically come to campus, where they will talk about their company, why you should join, also give some free food. Sometimes they're virtual, so you can do it conveniently in your bed and learn about the company. And then oftentimes they'll recruit physically on campus. So you'll do interviews like on campus. And overall, I guess it's a tough experience. Some people have it easier than others, but yeah, at the end, everyone gets an offer. You just got to put in the work. So, and I'll also mention that OCS, Office of Career Services, they provide a ton of resources. So even when you first join the program, they will schedule a one-on-one with you to talk about, what you really want in a company, catering your resume the right way, how to write cover letters. So yeah, there's a lot of resources to help you. And I'd say, our peers in the program are always willing to help, read over resumes. So I wouldn't worry too much about that.
Absolutely. I'd say unlike some people for their undergrad, Cornell has a lot of employers that come to campus, which makes it really convenient to be able to interview on campus with these employees, like chasing after our students. And OCS was a tremendous help, helping us prepare our resumes and just getting us ready, setting us up for success.
Yeah, and I want to add that there's a company for everyone. So some companies will come recruit for those with more experience, like 2 to 3 years, and then they'll recruit people like me and Steph with zero experience, but, might have some internships, so.
Alrighty, why don't we talk a little bit about building relationships among our professors and our cohort? What was it like once you got here?
I can start off with that. I first want to talk about the experience with the professors. the part that I was really surprised about the professors at MILR is that they weren't really in the position of trying to teach us or guide us, but was like our cohorts actually. They were so encouraging, they were so understanding, and the professors know why we are here, why we came into the MILR program and what we try to pursue and try to meet our needs as much as possible. And I would say this is like a huge part for any program because as a scholar and as a professor, a lot of professors have their own curriculum, have their own beliefs, their thoughts, and sometimes it does not align with individual students' needs or thoughts. But the first impression and the best impression that I got from the professors at MILR is that they're aligned with what we are thinking and what we are wanting and provide us with exactly what we need.
Yeah, I think in a master's program, they really emphasize the learning aspect. You know, we are a professional degree, so grades aren't as important. It's more about career and, you know, what you learn out in the classroom. So, yeah, I mean, there's some world-class professors here that are really famous in the field. So, yeah, I'd say in terms of professors, they're amazing. What do you think, Steph?
I would agree. I'd say getting the opportunity to know these professors one-on-one is incredible. They always have office hours where you could stop in and just really get to learn about them and their research and what your experience is like. So I've been really fortunate for that. Yeah. Beyond the professors, I think we were lucky once we got here that we get put in a cohort. Our cohorts are about 50-ish people, give or take, and we got here for orientation. We all got really close, and then having all of our classes together, we spend a lot of our time with each other. I feel like I can call anyone on the phone, and they'd be there for me, giving me advice. And it's been
every
a great
year
experience.
we create a Slack channel, and we have a form of communication with everyone, and even those individuals in the cohort that I might not be as close to, I know that whenever I reach out for questions, they're willing to help. So it's a really good bonding in the cohort.
Absolutely.
Yeah.
Regarding cohort, I have one thing to mention that I think is really the best part about our MILR cohort is diversity. And when I talk about diversity, we do have like gender diversity, we have race diversity, but it's just really a diversity itself. Like there are so many people with different experiences from different field, different years of experiences, different field of experiences, from different countries and different cultures. And the most amazing part about the MILR cohort is we're always open to diversity and people are actually appreciating and enjoying this diversity. So we are interested in how different we are and also we try to learn from these differences. And I think this big diversity aspect of our cohort is actually one of the biggest strengths of our program, and also I think is what makes our first years, not just first year, but our stay at MILR so enjoyable.
All right, why don't we switch gears a little bit and talk about what our experiences were like with our summer internships and how the MILR program prepared us. So I'll kick us off. I would say, so my summer internship was at United Health Group, and I felt like this program prepared me extremely well. I'd say, first off, I really didn't know very much about HR before coming here, so our first semester with those bundle classes, they gave me the foundations I needed. It's like, great, now I understand what HR is. I can't wait to start, working in the field. So by getting that experience, really helpful. And then beyond that, I know I took Professor Houseconnecht's data analytics class, and I thought that was extremely helpful. I wasn't great at storytelling with data before, and that was one of the things that I really think set me apart in my internship, being able to do that really well.
Yeah.
Why don't you tell us about your experience, Jamie?
Yeah, I mean, honestly, everything in the program, all the classes, the exposure you get to, professionals that are already in HR in the program. Like we have a ton of events that give you exposure. I think even next week we have a networking event with the CHRO, Yeah, I mean, it's really endless. What do you think, Simon?
I think that our first year at MILR before the internship was actually like a sort of, how would you say it?
Preparation.
Rehearsal.
Yes.
Yeah, preparation and rehearsal.
Yeah.
It felt like a rehearsal for the summer internship. So at class, because I did not have any HR professional experience before, some of the classes that I took was something like staffing, recruiting, as Steph said, HR analytics, and
Rewards and compensation.
yeah, compensation
Yep.
classes. And while taking these classes, I was a little bit confused on like how are we gonna apply these? Are these gonna be actual help to us? And then when I got to the internship, although it was just 3 months, I was able to use all those skills that we learned in class. So
Yeah.
I think that our MILR program, not only the program itself, but also the courses itself, is really focused on those professional aspects, and I think it really helped me throughout the internship.
Right. I think the core courses really touch on the core course aspects of HR.
Yeah.
And as you're doing your internship, there are moments where you're like, oh, I learned this in class.
Alrighty,
yeah.
now that we've talked about our summer
Okay.
internships, why don't we jump in and talk a little bit about what it's like to be a second year here? Simon, do you want to start us off and talk about what it's like being a student leader?
Oh, yes. Thank you,
President of
Steph.
IGSA.
Yes, thank you, Steph. Yes, I'm currently the president of IGSA, which stands for International Graduate Student Association. And the goal of the IGSA is to shorten the gap between domestic students and international students, and also help introduce new cultures and experiences to all the students at MILR. Looking back at my experience as a student leader, I really enjoyed every moment of it. I think the best part about being part of a student organization is that you have your own team. Although MILR cohort is always looking after each other and encouraging, because we're actually a quite big cohort, including first years. There's sometimes when you feel like, oh, I might miss home a little. I might miss my undergrad friends. But when you're in a student organization, you're able to be part of a team where you can lead or also come up with projects that you believe in and will be helpful. So in that aspect, student organization has been really helpful and also a big part of my second year.
Yeah.
Alrighty, we can jump on into life after graduation. What are you guys thinking?
Wait,
What's
Steph,
next for
I think
you?
you should give a little shout out to GSA and
Oh,
all the
okay,
wonderful
okay.
advice that they provide.
Okay, so one of the programs we have here at Cornell is GSA, which stands for Graduate Student Association. So this group is just within our program. So for the MILRs, we have some student leaders who are incredible, doing a great job setting up events for us. So they'll do like student development events. They'll do, they plan a winter soiree for us, which is really fun. Some like socials. It's been really great. It's been a great way to spend time with each other, have some events planned, and
Yeah. So even if you don't, make close connections here and you don't have social events going on, GSA got you covered. They'll
Yeah.
always have events, something to do on the weekends. I think there was something related to like apple picking
Apple
or
picking,
something.
yeah.
And hikes and all that.
Yeah.
So plenty of social opportunities here.
Yeah, so just to add on to that, for any applicants, because actually I was in that shoes, I was worried that I would be the only student from Korea or an international student who might not have any friends there. MILR is a perfect place to make friends, and we have everything prepared, every event possible prepared for every weekend that you
Yeah.
would not have to spend alone at your home.
Yeah. All right.
Alrighty, now we're ready to talk about the second year?
Oh,
Oh,
was our
sorry,
topic.
we already talked about that.
Second year is great.
Second year is great.
Because especially if you worked hard for your internship and you got a full-time offer, then you're breezing. But then you'll have some students that are still looking for full-time roles. So we're all juggling different things. Some students will have the opportunity to TA or be a research assistant like Simon. So I guess second year is kind of like closing off, what you really learned in your first years, because you have the flexibility to pick your classes. You can even pick courses from the MBA Johnson program or the law school, and it goes on. So a lot more flexibility for the second year.
Alrighty, and then thinking about life after graduation, I guess I'll start. So I got a return offer, so I will be going back to United Health Group, which I'm really excited about it. I'm doing the rotational program, so those are my big plans. I'm hoping to move to New York City because my role is remote. Simon?
Yes, my plan for after graduation is actually a little bit different from my cohorts. I'm actually considering PhD and is finishing my application this semester. Some people might be, well, like you interned at Dell, didn't you say all those professional skills that you learned at the program was so good? But this is actually another point that I want to brag about. I want to emphasize about the MILR program. Once you come to the MILR program, there are so many opportunities that you can do whatever you want to do. So when coming to the program, I came in as any other cohorts thinking about doing an internship, going professional, working in the United States. But as I started to study more in depth into HR and meet so many good faculties, as Steph said, go to their office hours, just talk about the fields that I'm interested in. And as Janie said, got an opportunity to do an RA, which is a research assistantship, and work in those like academic field. I realized that my true interest and my enthusiasm is in the academic field. So I decided to go PhD. And here at MILR, there are so many resources that I can utilize to apply to the PhD as well. So although it's a little bit different, I wanted to show our future MILRs about how there are so many different opportunities at MILR.
Yeah, I think your case is a great example of how great our academic program is. Simon here wants to pursue more school. That's amazing. That's how great this program is. It makes you want to study more. In my case, I felt like I had enough school, and I'm ready for a full-time role. I'm different from Steph, so I'm recruiting again, looking for new roles. There's so many opportunities, like full-time rotational programs. You can go into consulting. It's really what you make of it, but the tools and resources are there to be successful.
All right, so closing out, we want to just give some advice to our first years who might be joining our program. So do you want to kick us off, Janie, with some advice?
Advice.
Advice for,
Okay.
people who are thinking about joining.
Simon, why don't you go first? Let me give that a thought. I have a lot of advice.
Sure. The advice that I would love to give to the first years would be to try out all the opportunities that are provided at MILR. Although that was my mindset when I jumped into the program, there's still like 10 more things that I missed last year that I did not try and actually regret on. So rather than just thinking about internship or just thinking about studying good grades or meeting new friends, I hope that when you come to MILR, you would open up your mind and try out all those different opportunities that are actually provided by Cornell and the program, and try out those stuff to find out what you really love and what you really like.
A piece of advice I would give is, I actually don't.
You know what, I'm ready.
You know what, Janie? All right.
You have to get prepared to be rejected. There are companies that might not. Wait, why is everyone laughing? I'm giving the real facts here. Some companies won't want you, and that's a reality. And there's so many other great companies out there. So don't take it personally. Keep recruiting.
Okay.
So, yeah.
I got a piece of advice. I would say if you decide to come here, just go for it. You're going to have incredible opportunities like Simon talked about. Go ahead, meet your professors. Get involved on campus life here. There's a thing called the Big Red Barn, which is for graduate students. They have happy hour. They have other events. I was recently there painting. It was super fun. It was like an abstract art night.
And the beer is $1.
The beer is $1. So I'd highly recommend get involved with your cohort. There's a ton of really awesome people in our program. We've all gotten to know each other really well this last year.
Let's go.
Go ahead and get involved.
Another thing I would say is you gotta appreciate the small town, vibe of this city.
Yeah.
I feel like I didn't do that more.
Have you done
There's
any
something
hikes?
about being here. You know what? That's something I've been missing out on too. So go on hikes before September.
No, in September. It's so
Okay,
fine.
by September.
By
because
September.
once September hits, it gets cold and you can't do any of that. So go before when it's warm. Enjoy the nature. Enjoy the small town vibe. Because, who knows when you'll live in a beautiful city like this again.
Yeah, and just one more thing I really want to emphasize or point out is have fun with the grad office.
Yeah.
OCS. There's so many offices and faculty members at Cornell right now that are willing to help and are actually very helpful. So don't be hesitant to just jump into the office, say hi, grab a cookie, and then just leave. But I think all those things can lead to maybe even job opportunities or meeting new friends or even getting your help with your career or any other things. So I highly suggest to just visit the grad office, say hi, and also go to OCS, show your resume saying that you need help. So this is the best advice that I can give.
This is the best HR program.
Alrighty, well, I hope you enjoyed our video.
Hey, also, can I make another comment? Feel free to reach out to me on LinkedIn if you want an honest, thought about the program, the application process. I know if someone like myself was available, I would really appreciate that. So I don't know about them, but feel free to reach out to me. I will answer all your questions.
Thanks for watching this video. I hope you enjoyed.
See you at Cornell.
Thank you.